But we're so excited to have this lady with us. She's a first-time visitor to the show, and now, much more than that, she is a candidate for U.S. Senate to run against Elizabeth Dole. Jay Paul, our director, if we can meet Senator Kay Hagen, State Senator. Welcome, Kay.
Nice to be here,
Good
Jim.
to see you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, first off, you're a banker turned lawyer turned politician. My first question is, why shouldn't I hate you?
Well, you can pick one of the three. I'm pretty good at all three of them.
You're good. You're very accomplished at all three.
And a mother.
Yeah, and a mother. Gosh, you're
And
everything. You wear. She has all these hats she wears and does everything well. Where were you born?
Shelby, North Carolina.
Home of David Thompson, the great NC State
That's
basketball
exactly
player.
right.
Early role models, mentors. Who you think of anybody that was impacted your life as a little girl? And
My uncle Lawton Childs, who was in the U.S. Senate and then the governor of Florida.
And for people that don't remember, if you're of a younger generation, Lawton Childs, one of the finest governors and governing people in the nation. I had the privilege of doing some things with him on the Southern Governors Association back in the early 90s. What a great man.
When he first ran for office for the U.S. Senate in Florida, he didn't have the resources to run a statewide campaign, so he walked the state of Florida.
I remember that. From
Pensacola to Key West, and many, many a day, the family, we were out there walking with him, day in and day out.
Now, honestly, did that, I mean, you talked about him as an influence. Did he actually, was he the influence, the reason that you got into politics then?
He is certainly one of the reasons. My father also was very involved. He was the mayor of Lakeland, Florida, when I was growing up. When I was about 5, we moved to Central Florida.
Yeah.
But knowing that you had an uncle like my uncle, Uncle Bud, as I called him, he was the most honest Christian man. And I tell you, knowing that he was in Washington, D.C., you knew that things were going to be okay.
Yeah.
So he was definitely a great
man. You've got it in the genes. You've got it in the blood.
You know, when I first ran for state senate here in '97, he came to Guilford County and walked door to door with me, knocking on doors.
That's a good ally to have. Okay, let me be harsh for a second.
Okay.
There are pundits who say that Senator Elizabeth Dole cannot be beat. Why are they wrong?
They're definitely wrong. One, she and everybody knows her. Across the state, people know Elizabeth Dole from her time in government work. The problem is she really doesn't represent the people of North Carolina. They don't see her, we don't see her, and I think that people want a fresh voice, and I want to be that person.
Yes,
I live here day in and day out.
You live here. I'm going to say, look, I don't mean to do an endorsement here, but gosh, you know, I have some good friends that work with the Dole campaign, but she's just never around. And I'm just going to say it. We'll put a commentary across here if we have to, but
even one time on one of her expense vouchers, I think she was here one time in 6 months.
Yeah, that's just that's okay. Don't get me started on that. Now, if elected, here's something else you can get me started on. Is I just have not believed in this war from the beginning. My good friend Virginia Fox and I have argued about this on the show. She's a good lady, but we differ in opinions. If you go to the U.S. Senate, you're going to get the troops out of there quickly, or you're going to do what the rest of the Democrats have done and just backpedal and kowtow to the Republicans?
Well, two things. We got into the war on totally wrong purposes. The second thing is I want to do always to support our troops. I have nephews right now that are in the military. They've been to Iraq. They've been to Afghanistan.
Right.
They tell me firsthand what's going on. We definitely need to get out of there. I mean, this war has lasted a lot longer than we've been in the war from World War II. However, we've got to do it the right way.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, but at the same time, there are folks like Kucinich and Paul and others who say doing it the right way means let's start doing things immediately. Hillary Clinton backpedaled. 4 months ago, she said, I'll get them out immediately. Now she's saying it's going to be 2012. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, I think you've got to do it in a managed way. And I think that depending on what's going on the ground, we've put a lot of people at risk over there, and I think
we certainly have.
And I think we need to respect that also, as well as our troops.
Monies could have been better spent too, and I know you'd like to see it spent on human resource things.
Well, I also look at the allies we have around the world. We have alienated everybody. The U.S. should not be the sole entity paying for this war.
Exactly.
When we're doing $10 billion a month, the whole budget of the state of North Carolina is a little over $20 billion for a year. We're spending that in 2 months in Iraq.
Yeah.
And I think of the schools and the hospitals and the roads and the transportation infrastructure that could be being built in the U.S. right now that is not.
I want to take just a few extra seconds, warn our director. I have to ask this, NAFTA and CAFTA, can you get rid of it?
Those issues we're going to have to get into in a lot longer debate.
But I mean, would you like to see them repealed? You can at least tell me yes or no on that, right?
That one I've still got to have. I think there's more than a yes and no answer on those.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thanks for coming by. And will you come back?
Always.
Maybe we'll get you and Dole here together.
I'd love to.
All right.
On a longer time.
On a longer time. We'll do it much longer next time.